Ted Florendo, and Chris Matthews. This is 8 News Now at 11.
As of noon Tuesday, motorists will be able to cruise a brand new section of Interstate 11. It's the Railroad Pass interchange, and it will be open for business next week.
The I-11 bypass is a massive project that almost didn't happen because of potentially deadly fibers found in the soil near Boulder City. Scientists discovered naturally occurring asbestos a few years ago, and as the I-team has reported, those fibers can cause some serious health problems.
Tonight, George Knapp updates us on some new research about the risk from asbestos and also how agencies in charge of the interstate have worked to minimize what gets into our air.
Soon, this empty stretch of the I-11 will be jammed with traffic. It's a bypass that almost wasn't built because of NOA, naturally occurring asbestos found in the rocks and soil. UNLV geologists Brenda Buck and Rod Metcalf first discovered suspicious fibers back in 2013. The more they looked, the more they found. Eventually, they mapped the deposits. It became clear the planned interstate would plow through the heart of asbestos country. But when the geologists and their colleagues tried to publish results of a study suggesting elevated levels of asbestos-related disease, state health officials pounced, issued a cease and desist order, and tried to bury the results. Natural asbestos is no risk to public health, the officials said. The professors worried that the highway project would take precedence over public health.
We also don't want it to be true, but you can't deny data.
Buck and Metcalf insist they were never anti-highway or opposed to development, but thought the public should know about potential risks. At a recent public meeting in Boulder City, they unveiled the latest scientific evidence, along with colleague Dr. Gene Pfau of Montana State University. Pfau has spent the last 17 years studying the health effects of asbestos exposure in Libby, Montana, site of the deadliest environmental disaster in American history. In Libby, long-term exposure to a particular asbestos-type fiber killed 400 people and sickened thousands more. Mesothelioma, a rare but always fatal disease, is indisputably caused by exposure to asbestos. But Pfau and others documented a host of other, less obvious diseases that develop over long periods of time.
By and large, the predominant disease in Libby is a progressive, painful, pleural fibrosis. It's a gradual scarring of the tissue around your lung, making it harder and harder to expand your lung. Patients up in Libby for decades were diagnosed with, well, you're obese or you're overweight, you have COPD, you're a smoker, and so the cases were dismissed. This is a very subtle, gradual reduction in your ability to do daily activities.
Buck and Metcalf found that the fibers which killed so many in Libby were almost identical to the ones found in Nevada soil. Dr. Pfau took it a step further by exposing mice to low levels of the asbestos here. She confirmed a range of autoimmune diseases.
We saw an increase in the levels of autoantibodies in the mice. We saw indications of systemic immunity. We saw an inflammation. We saw evidence of potential kidney damage, all of the things that you might see in an autoimmune disease.
For us, that means that low exposure levels can cause disease, and therefore it's important to find out how much people really are being exposed.
The exposure level to trigger a negative health response was much, much lower.
While Nevada health officials scoffed at the dangers of asbestos, the agencies and contractors involved with the highway project took them seriously. They delayed the highway for a year, implemented measures to protect workers, including individual asbestos monitors, sprayed 1 million gallons of water per day to tamp down soil and clean fibers off of everything, and installed sensors around the project. The data from the sensors is sent to NDOT, where state experts it. Highway consultants say the greater risk of airborne asbestos comes from other sources, in particular from the playa in the El Dorado Valley, where asbestos-laden dust is generated daily. Once the highway is finished, that valley will likely become home to housing developments. George Knapp, 8 News Now.
Now, because Nevada has laws regulating exposure to natural asbestos, developers who build homes in areas like El Dorado Valley will be required to meet the same, won't be required to say, to meet the same safety standards used to build the interstate.
And if you'd like to learn more, we have links with all of these stories.